Hi everyone, it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. It's time for The Handicap, a rugby chat that matters on Good for the Game TV. Well, we got some great rugby to look forward to this weekend. We got the second weekend, of course, of rugby championships and the big test match between South Africa and the All Blacks. That's, of course, over in New Zealand in Wellington. We've got Argentina, Australia, and we've got 3 Currie Cup fixtures to talk about. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the panel. Just before I do that, if you are new to the channel, please go down and subscribe. Let's start off down in Cape Town. I don't think it's going to be too much guessing what this guy's going to back this weekend. It's Henrik Swart. Henrik, good to have you on the show.
Hi, Brent. Yeah, nice to be back. Yeah, Province cost me big last week. I was very confident in a -2, and I even had the Province about, I think, 7 to 10 or something like that. No, it was lower, actually, in multiples. And yeah, I didn't see the game. I was away for the weekend, but yeah, from what I've heard, John-Luc du Plessis had a bit of a shocker, and no, I didn't expect that from the Sharks, and Province cost me, but I'm expecting a big bounce back from Province this week.
Yeah, I was certainly disappointed with him as well. It was one of those weekends for me. I think I placed 4 bets, 2 winners, 2 losers, sort of came out a bit square, and fortunately since then I made a bit of a comeback in the Tour de France. But let's bring in Couch Critic, because Couch, in the Tour de France, you're flying in the Fantasy League, but it looks like you're going to need the rugby to make you some money.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks. Yeah, I'm doing well in fantasy, but in real life, I'm struggling. And you can be glad you only had 4 punts, because I probably had about 40, and 38 of them involved Province last week, and it all went pear-shaped. So that was an absolute disaster for me. Hopefully, as Hendrik says, I'm not getting off this horse quite yet. I'm backing it one more time, and hopefully it doesn't balk at the gate.
That's it. Well, we got a great weekend of sport up ahead of us. We will get on to the Currie Cup a little bit later, but let's start off with the Rugby Championship. And let's start off in Wellington on Saturday morning. And Couch, I'll start with you. We've got South Africa going over there. I mean, the build-up to this test match, if I think about our Monday night show, Use It or Lose It, the likes of Judge Rugby, Unbiased Rugby, these guys on Twitter and YouTube, they're super excited for this, and they don't even bet on the game. I mean, we are very excited. I mean, this is going to be a good indicator of where the sides are going into the World Cup.
Brett, I was actually telling people at work today, it's going to be, it'll suck tremendously if the Boks go and lose by 20 points. You know, everyone's, there's a whole feel-good vibe, and you finally get the little feeling that, you know, World Cup's around the corner, and things are happening, and there's a buy-in, and the last thing Rassie Erasmus needs is to go and get a thumping there. So it's pretty key and pretty important for them. And yeah, as we said on Monday, we're really looking forward to the game. I think whether you're having a punt or not, I know personally I won't have a big punt on this one. I'll obviously fancy something. That's just the way we are. But it's more about the game. And geez, what an interesting All Black team. You know, I think for a change, Hansen has surprised us a little bit. He always said it's about the Bledisloe Cup, so he's probably going to pick his best side for that one. But I mean, it's not like it's a weak team, and there's some interesting combinations. Muanga starting at fly-off and Sonny Bill Williams next to him. That's something new for us to see. TJ at 9, and then Bowden Barrett at fullback, of course. So there's plenty to see and how it works out. And then in the loose trio combination as well, he's gone for a few different things there. But, you know, some people might think that Matt Todd isn't necessarily that much worse than Sam Cane. So there's not a big one there. And Shannon Frizzell, he's deserved his shot in the absence of Liam Squires possibly being their enforcer 6, as they call it, 7 as we know it. So it's going to be good. And the tight 5, I mean, that's a first choice tight 5 that's probably going to be doing duty in the first game of the Rugby World Cup. So there's nothing missing there, and that's where the big action is going to be. It's going to be 2 incredible packs of forwards going at it. So no, I definitely can't wait. And on the betting front for that one, I'll obviously, when I feel this way, I go for a little bit more speculative play. So I think the Boks are going to come out charging, and hopefully New Zealand probably just find their feet a little bit with a few different combinations. So I'm going for that half-time, full-time play of South Africa to lead and New Zealand to win the game at 11-2. And then a little play as well, just 1-12, I think. Yeah, no, 1-10 New Zealand at Sunbet. I got that for 27-10. So I think it might be, we'll keep it close. So that's where I'm going.
Right, let's see what Henrik makes of this one. Henrik, any big plays on the handicap here?
Not too big, Brent. Yeah, I just want to touch on the team as well. Like Hein touched on it, and it's an interesting team from New Zealand. The 10 and 15 combo, especially. I saw a lot of chat on Twitter today about it. and a pretty well-known rugby analyst on Twitter, saying that but it's probably to get Mo'unga in the team for his kicking, his goal kicking, and just to keep Beauden Barrett in the team as well because he's so good. But that's rubbish. That I can't have that. It's got nothing to do with goal kicking. They won't pick him just for his goal kicking. This is last year they had Damien McKenzie at 15 and Beauden at 10. They had the dual playmaker. So I think they're sticking with the dual playmaker, and I think they might go into the World Cup doing this. 2 10s, and I think Beauden will come into the line and at 10 a lot. And I'm not that fond of the loose trio. I think it's a weak loose trio. Me and you, we've spoken about a few times about Currie and Reid. I think he's past his best. He's obviously still got the leadership qualities. I've never been a big Matt Todd fan. I think Sam Cane, probably not a fan of him as well. And Frizzell, I don't know. He had a good Super Rugby season last season, but I've never been a big fan of him either. So I think the loose trio is a bit of a weak link, and I would have preferred Aaron Smith at 9. But the rest of the team is very solid, great tight 5, and we all know that's where rugby gets won and lost. So, I think this game, I started out being very undecided on this game early in the week. And I think this might be the type of game where the Springbok supporters feel the Boks are in the game the whole time. And then suddenly they see they're 50 points down and they didn't see how it happened. I think the All Blacks will use all their scoring opportunities like they normally do in South Africa. A lot of times they waste scoring opportunities. And I think the All Blacks on the minus the right way, yeah. Not very confident, but medium confidence. All Blacks on the minus, I think minus 10, or is there still minus 10 available? I took some minus 9 and minus 10 earlier in the week. Not sure what the best minus is now. So I'm on the minus here. And then, looking at the points, I think Bok points would come at about 19.5, would probably be the highest quote. And I'll be looking at unders on that one. Nick Berry is the ref. He's not a free-flowing ref, and I think conditions in Wellington normally not always great. There's almost a bit of wind swirling there, and the All Blacks defense normally good. So I'll be looking at unders on box points for the points player.
What does that relate to? About 48.5 total points?
Looking at the handicap, it should be close to there about, 31. It should be about there.
Yeah, I'm expecting a tight game here. I must say, I'm a little bit more confident on the Boks. I think they can beat the handicap on this one. I'll be waiting because I see the money is coming for New Zealand. If I can get sort of plus 12.5, plus 13.5, I'll probably take some of the Boks. But I think my main interest is going to be a selling of total points. Yeah, Hendrik, have you seen the weather in Wellington? Have you looked ahead at that far yet?
Yeah, the weather looks good for both games. I think I checked. I didn't check today. I checked early in the week. In both games, the weather is all right, so there won't be rain.
And Couch, let me bring you in for a second. A couple of guys in the live chat just talking about the New Zealand centre combination. Obviously, the loss of Crotty, and also the fact that SPW is playing. There was I'd have to go back and just see who made the point. That it was Dino. He'd say he'd take SPW over the Islander every day of the year. But I tend to agree with some of the other comments made that SPW hasn't been at his best for some time, has he?
No, I often think it's a little bit of a liability playing Sonny Bill Williams, especially when he's not absolutely at full tilt. You know, he does create quite a bit, but he also is a little bit of a loose cannon, and he's almost the exact opposite of what you get from a Ryan Crotty. Ryan Crotty is solid in all aspects, defense, attack. You know what you're going to get from him. Sonny Bill Williams is a little bit more of a as I said, it's a bit of a lucky packet what you're going to get from him. And even though he's physical, I still think on these he's not as impressive. If you run on his shoulders, he often goes for a higher hit and things like that. He doesn't do a dominant tackle that much. So I'm not all that excited, but I mean it's a good attacking combination of Mo'unga and Sonny Bill Williams, which really they could unlock you anytime. And as Hendrik said, I think the big thing there is they're going to play Beauden Barrett in the line quite often. So they probably, especially anything close to the middle of the field, they're going to have the option of playing either side because Beauden's going to be on the one side and Mo'unga on the other. And I actually think the big thing Anson is going for, I don't think you'll probably start that combination again in the World Cup or very often. But I think he knows that for the majority of the time, the majority of the big games, the last 20, 30 minutes, that's going to be the combination that's going to be on the field. So he's giving them a good run, giving Bowden a little bit more time in defense on fullback and that kind of thing, because you have to get used to the angles. But I also think Ben Smith is going to rotate back into fullback on defense quite often, so they should be able to sort that out. On the points, I just want to get in there. I think, if you get 20 points on the box, I mean, even in good weather conditions, I'd be under that. So I'd be surprised if it's that high. If it is that high, then I'd also get involved, because I'm with you, Brent. I think it'll be a scrappy, tight game. I think there's going to be some nerves, and it's a big game. It's quite a lot of importance, for individual players, for the teams, for the coaches, everything. So I think it's going to be it's going to be clip art.
Clip art, I like it. Have you got anything for us in the try scorers markets? Any other bets in this game?
Yeah, the one I like there is obviously Dane Coles has been moved to the bench, so I'll stick to the hookers, and I'm having him as a last try scorer on his home ground as well. You can expect him to be roaming loose in the last 20 minutes and looking for a try in the corner like only he can.
Well, if you watch the last GG Gaming on Mad, you see Gary stuck to his hookers quite a bit as well in his time. But let Henrik finish off on this one. Henrik, anything else jump out for you on this one, or is it really just the points plays?
Yeah, it's just a point, Brent, and 9. I think we're going to get it around there, about the 19.5, 20, and I'm happy to take the 19. I think maybe the total points might be a go as well. I'm with you on that one as well, Brent. So I think unders is the call here. It's at Wellington, which is obviously at the coast, and that stadium can be a bit swirly, so it's not always easy for the kickers. So I think the unders is the right go here. And both teams, it's a big game going into the World Cup, so both teams should be on top form with the defence.
Right, and just to mention the live chat, Pierre Killian saying penalty should be around 3.5 to 4.5. He'll be going over on that, and I tend to agree with you, Pierre. I think teams will take their penalties here. And in fact, I was thinking of something, guys. I haven't looked at the price yet. But I wonder now, I mean, Couch, you touched on it. This is all about the build-up to the World Cup. And I mean, I hadn't thought about what you said, that he's looking to maybe test a combination that will be on towards the end of a game, but he's giving them a run now to sort of gel together. What about a drop goal?
I don't think, as you say, maybe if they look for the simulation, simulation of the same type of game. But I just think the type of team that is selected is, yes, we say it's important, but you still got to remember that coaching wise, they still thinking Bledisloe Cup. Yeah, this is a little bit experimental. Obviously, they'd love to win, but I mean, as a natural, Richie Mo'unga wouldn't be going for a drop goal per se, even though maybe he's got more chance than a Bowden Barrett. So maybe it's a shot, but unless I'd rather go for that if I know the weather is going to be a little bit worse than we think, then it could be a go. And also, maybe going for under tries or one team to not score a try at all or something like that. That could be a play. I've often gone for that. So those could be an option. But obviously, if the price is good enough, have a go at the drop goal. But I don't think I'm going to be taking it.
Henrik, what do you think? And I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about New Zealand only drop goal. I mean, South Africa also going to be testing things and simulating. Pollard in the pocket, whacking over a drop goal. I mean, I reckon if I could get, I know at WSB they normally have 18 to 10, sort of standard mark. But if I could get anything over 5 to 2, I might just have an interest nibble.
Now, Brent, I don't see the value in that market generally. I know you're talking about going into the World Cup here now, but that's such a speculative market, and the price, I wouldn't even take 5 to 1, to be honest. And the thing is, earlier, say 2, 3, 4 years ago, when teams had the penalty advantage, they would go for a drop. These days, they go for a try. They go for a cross kick. They want more points out of that advantage. So they don't go for a drop goal when they have the penalty advantage anymore. So I don't see value in that market.
I must admit, it is a bit of a mug's bet. I have taken it on occasion, and I'll never forget years ago, a mate of mine came to a pub with me to watch Australia, South Africa, and he'd never bet on a game before in his life. So he wanted a bet, and I gave him first scoring play drop goal at 20 to 1. And I can't remember who the Aussie was, but this Aussie whacks over a drop goal for the first scoring play. And this guy stood up in the pub and went absolutely ballistic in his Springbok jersey. And people were so confused. But you're right, Hendrik. I mean, this is a mug's bet. I mean, if people were betting on this every weekend, the bookies would be more than happy. That being said, it is the kind of bet that I do enjoy going when I'm maybe not that strong on something. And yeah, I mean, I must say, I do think we're going to get a bang. And in fact, Emil's is saying in the live chat, maybe Steyn going for a drop goal from 50 meters. The other thing about it, which is also true, is just because they go for a drop goal doesn't mean they get a drop goal. So it can be quite frustrating when you have back the drop goal and they miss 2 drop goals, So we won't talk anymore about that one. I think let's move on to the next game. Australia up against Argentina. That's in Brisbane. Argentina lost by 4 points to New Zealand. I got to say, I suppose you'd say a good performance. They beat the handicap. I was disappointed they didn't win the game. I think they're going to have to start closing games out like that if they want to beat the mighty France and England in the World Cup that they're coming up against. And they now face an Australian side that were actually given a bit of a hiding in the end by South Africa. But I do think the scoreline flattered South Africa. Australia had their chances in the first half. So let's start with you, Henrik, on this game. The early handicap, 8.5. It's down to 5.5 now. Australia minus 5.5.
Yeah, Brent, 8.5. I don't think that came out in South Africa at that price. I saw comments from New Zealand, 8.5. The first I saw over here was 6.5. Maybe there was 7.5 that I missed. I took some of the 6.5, and I'm pretty confident on that. And I like you, I think that Argentina will win this game. One of my concerns is that it is in Brisbane. Australia, they're generally pretty good in Brisbane. They have a good record over there. But Argentina's on the up. They're playing really good rugby. They should have beaten the All Blacks. I was really beat off at that. And we would have been in great position with that 25-1 Argentina to win the championship. But yeah, New Zealand somehow killed that maul. They did it illegally at the end, and the ref didn't blow them up for him. And that's the kind of things New Zealand get away with a lot of times. But yeah, getting back to this one, Australia at the moment they're not playing good rugby. They have to be taken on. I'm not that. I don't like the team they've picked. I don't like Leo Leofano at 10. And dropping down Alec Petty, he made one clear mistake, dropping a high ball. But I would still have had him in the team. So yeah, I like Argentina to win the game. I've taken plus 6.5. I haven't taken them to win the game yet. I'm going to have to look at the price there. And then one speculative play that I've taken on Argentina. Not a big bet because it's very speculative. But at super bets, I saw this morning Argentina to win by 14 plus at 27-2. Which I think is a great price because generally the 13 plus is about half that price at most other bookmakers. I think that could be a runner. Points wise, Ben O'Keefe is the ref. He's a pretty free flowing ref, not heavy overs ref, but he lets the game flow. And if I can get Argentina points in the lower 20s, that will be great, and I'll go over some Argentina points here.
Right, looks like you and I are singing from the same hymn sheet on this one. Couch, we've got to take Henrik quite seriously when he goes for those speculative plays because he nearly hit the Pumas to hammer the Lions a few weeks ago, 35-1. Unfortunately, the Lions came back to win the game. What are your thoughts on this one?
Sounds like he's sticking to the Pumas theme there by going for that one. I must say, I think the cops were close to coming to my place at 10 o'clock on Saturday evening because I was shouting the Pumas home there like you wouldn't believe. That try almost in the corner, the penalty kick being missed, and then the driving maul at the end. And as Hendrik says, being on the 25-1 and the 20-1 later, I thought we were in the pound seats. If they got over the line there, it's we would have been sitting pretty. So unfortunately, it's race run. I think the All Blacks probably win it this weekend if they beat the Box. So it's all over. But it was fun while it lasted. I'm all over Argentina again. I think the first game out, the big thing we wanted to see was whether they're going to look more like the Jaguares, like we hoped, and they did. They just continued where they left off, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Made a few changes this week, but again, it's the same as the Jaguares, did the same type of changes as well. 9-10 still stays the same, so there's nothing too much to be concerned there. So I'm all guns blazing for Argentina, and I think I'm pretty sure I have to go back and check. I think I got a little bit of 7.5, but I'm sure I got 6.5 as well. And now I've scrapped that at the current one. I'm not going to take any more. I took a little bit outright at 16-10 now on Argentina. To me, that's the way to go. I'm a little bit different to Heinrich on the Aussie team. I think at this stage, Foley is lacking confidence and he's nowhere. So anyone that fly off is pretty much a better option than him. You might as well give Leo Leofano a run out there, and then they finally selected a wing, so that's good to see. They've just been playing these fullbacks, like 3 or 4 of them in the starting lineup, so I think it's actually better for them. Daniel Petty is solid, but he's no wing, and Currie deal. They probably need a little bit of an X factor there, so that could work in their favour. But as I said, it's just Argentina, the only problem they have is when someone can take them up front, and this Aussie team won't do that. I mean, Kepo is a better tight end, so that's probably good news for them. But I still think they'll handle them up front, and hopefully they'll handle them at the back. So 16-10 is good value for me. But the team have shown that they're not scared of traveling, and they quite like it in Oz. So it's Argentina all the way for me there, and then obviously it's Montoya, Moyano, the hooker, who's starting to get the first trial of a rolling ball, 12-1 with Bet Olymp.
Right, yeah, this man loves his hookers, still going for the rolling ball there. Emil saying, sorry, was it Emil who was saying the 1-12? I think Australia is what he likes. I must say this does have the makings of a pretty close game. Henrik, anything else for you on this one before we move on to the Currie Cup?
No, nothing under betting so much, but I just want to touch on the Argentina scrums. We have spoken about their scrum a bit, but I saw some improvement last week. I think Figalo has made a bit of difference, and it wasn't the best. It wasn't New Zealand's first choice props, but Argentina's scrum was better last week, and I think they will go well against, well, at least hold their own against the Aussies. So they will have a good platform, and the line-out has always been very good. Currie is out this week, but Montoya he's always playing for the Awares and always on the benches for the Argentina, and he's a solid hooker. So I think they should get good first phase ball. So yeah, I'm expecting good things, and yeah, it's Nicolas Sanchez's second game back now, so he should be better after the first run. So yeah, I'm expecting a good game for Argentina.
Well, we're all leaning towards Argentina. Will it qualify as the newsletter bet? And on that note, you can subscribe to our newsletter down below. I'll put a link. Just knock on there. It comes out on a Friday. I'm not sure I'm going to get it out Friday morning. I'm a bit hectic tomorrow. But certainly by Friday afternoon, we'll have our best bet. But the best bet may well come in the Currie Cup. And Henrik, let me start with you there. Friday night, Pumas up against the Blue Bulls. +4.5. I haven't looked around too far. I saw +4.5 at WSB and Sunbet, I think. Are you seeing any different lines, and what do you fancy?
No, that's very much what I saw. The only different one I saw was Bet Exchange when they came out yesterday. They came out with this game as a choice game, 9-10 pair. So there was a bit of value for the guys that fancy the Bulls. I've just taken the Pumas to win the game at 7-4. That's the best price I saw. I think it's a solid bet. Not very confident, medium confidence for me here. I didn't see the Bulls versus Cheetahs game last week. I was traveling at the time, but from what I've heard, the Bulls were pretty poor. So yeah, I can't have anything for the Bulls, especially after the game against the Western Province as well. They didn't give me anything, so I can back them with any confidence. And yeah, the Pumas, they're playing at home for the first time. And they weren't that great against the Lions, but they were pretty decent against Griquas and Kimberley last week. I saw a bit of that game. And I think Pumas to win the game is good value here. So I'm not taking the plus. I'm just going to take them to win the game and lower my stake a bit. And yeah, I think there should be a lot of points in this game. Against the ref and Ian Rasta, they're the best overs refs there is. So yeah, I actually saw a points quote on this one earlier today, 61.5. Total points, and I'm all over that for the overs. I think that quote is at least 5 or 6 points too low for the total points, and I will be looking at overs on Pumas points here as well.
Well, when Henrik says it quotes 5 or 6 points too low, you must know that points line is going to move. So if you want to get on quickly. Couch, I can tell you, I also like the Pumas. Like Henrik, I'm not labeling it as a good thing. I mean, this bull side on paper should be pretty good. They've just been disappointing. Pumas at home. I mean, we've got two sides, neither of which have won here, which both desperately need a victory. I think, if anything, there is a bit of value on the Pumas. What have you found for us in this one?
Yeah, goodness knows what's wrong with this Bulls team. I actually thought they could be second runners behind Province and go to Newlands to lose the final, but they've just been an absolute no-show. You know, there are plenty of Super Rugby players there, but I don't know, much like the Sharks, it seems they just not turned on for the Currie Cup. So I've got nothing for the Bulls. They haven't given you any reason to support them this weekend either. The Pumas, I've seen in patches that they play some decent rugby, and as Henrik said, I think the big factor for me is it's their first home game, and you know they know it's win now, or you know you also rans and you're just making up the numbers, so they'll look to try and stay in the mix for as long as possible. So I think they're going to come out with one heck of a fight, and I'm actually staying away from the match result, and I'm going for the halftime. I think Pumas are going to come out firing. The Bulls will probably get another stern talking to at halftime, and maybe they just got a little bit more experience and sneak it over the line in the end. But I'll take 14-10 that Pumas win the first half. And then going by that same token, basically, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket here. I'm going to do Sunbets halftime, full-time again, with Pumas leading halftime and Bulls winning the game at 23-4. I think almost 61 on that play is decent value. And obviously, I need a good 40 minutes from the Pumas.
Right, Kevin Turner saying he does fancy the Bulls with Boshoff at 10 as opposed to Lebok, I guess. So that might well make a difference. Anything else, Henry?
That's a big point.
Carry on, Couch.
That's a pretty decent point there. I was actually just looking. I had a quick scan of the team, and then I saw Boshoff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's going to stop me a little bit. Lebok has been poor, so I also think they can only do better with Boshoff at fly off. So it could be better for them, but I'll stick with what I have. And then Marco van Staden, you might have to have a little look out for a try from him, but I can't really take him first try since I'm hoping Pumas win the first half. So I'm staying out of it. But Marco is back and starting, so he could be a one to watch.
Right, Henrik, carry on.
Yeah, on the Boshoff one as well. That's not the greatest news for overs because Lebok is a much more attack-orientated player. But yeah, so that should probably strengthen the Bulls a bit. But I'm still happy to take the Pumas at home. They're pretty good in Nelspruit. And they also have made a change at 10. They've got Chris Smith starting. He played for him during the Super Sport Challenge at 10 the whole time. And last year he was at Marty, still pretty good, very good 10. And yeah, they moved Kobus Murray to 12 now. He was playing the first two games. He started 10. He was pretty good as well. So they've also got the dual playmaker at 10 and 12. Yeah, I'm expecting a good game here for Pumas, and that halftime play I find, I think that's a solid play as well. I remember a few years back, I think this was like 2008 or 2009. Yeah, 2008 I think. Now I had a halftime, full-time. This was this exact fixture, Pumas versus Bulls in Nelspruit, and I had a halftime, full-time on the Bulls, and I went pretty big on that, I can remember. And I think it was like something like 7 or 8 to 10 on the Bulls, and halftime it was a draw, I think 6-all, and I was really peed off. And the Bulls, they stretched away in the second half and won the game easily, like they should have on the handicap. But the Pumas came out firing in the first half, and I can see that here again. They played great against the Lions in the first half as well, so yeah, I think Ryan is onto a good thing with that 14-10 of his.
Well, when you remember a bet for something like 11 or 12 years, you must know that it really stung. Either that or it had to be a good win. Couch, let's start the next game with you. We got the Free State up against the Griquas. Gary Lenton, go and watch GG Gaming Gone Mad if you didn't watch it. Gary Lenton says, if the Griquas make it to the final and they host the final, we've been talking about going down. He says he'll sponsor the entire day. Tickets, drinks, meals, the works. So go and watch GG Gaming Gone Mad on that one. I guess for them to host a final, they've got to keep on winning them. They've got a tough task here, Couch. Free State, after the impressive opening game, they're minus 9.5 in places, but they're also as big as minus 11.5, minus 12.5.
Brent, I said, I think the week before last on the show that this is going to be the important patch for Griquas. They've got this one away from home, Bulls away from home, and Province at home. And to me, those are the three games. If you want to be in with a shout of winning the Currie Cup, you've got to at least win one, probably win two out of those, or probably need to win two to host the game semi-final. As we said, they need to do. If they win one out of three, they're probably not even gonna. They'll just sneak into the semis, and that won't be good enough. So it's an important 3-week period for them. And we said at the start of the Currie Cup, you guys nailed the 3 down, and I said if you wanted to do something, just go for the Free State. And I think they came out of the blocks here, and you're going to be in a little bit of a loose situation probably. Free State knock Griquas down one, they're under pressure, or alternatively, if Griquas upset Free State, then that chip is taken a serious blow. So this is quite an interesting game. Free State surprised me a heck of a lot in that first one, but I'll still have to see how bad the Bulls are and how good the Free State is. That's what we've got to find out this weekend. But it was a good start from Free State. I'm just thinking going into this one that all the talk in the lead-up will be more of the same from Free State, whilst Griquas have been plotting and planning how to get one over their neighbours. So I'm again going to just focus on 40 minutes of rugby, and I'm expecting Griquas to stay within the halftime cap. I've seen 5.5. I would love 6.5, but 5.5 Griquas first half handicap. I think they're going to come out absolutely spitting fire, and then you never know, at the break, Free State might get chopped back down to size and put their lesser neighbours away. So it's Griquas halftime cap for me.
Thanks for calling Griquas the lesser neighbours. I'm sure you're going to be very welcome at Tafellager Park in a few weeks' time. Henrik, can the Griquas do it again, or can they at least beat the handicap?
Yeah, they can win this game, Brent. I think Griquas can win this game. They will be very motivated for this one. They're always playing against the big brother from the Free State. And yeah, I think this handicap is about 5 or 6 points too high as well. I would have made it less than a converted try. So I've taken a solid bet on the plus 11.5 when Caps alerted us 2 days ago about that when Sunbet came out. And I'm actually surprised that it hasn't come in more. As impressive as I've heard the Free State was, I think Griquas have been very good as well, and they well-coached team, and they do the basics well. And I've been really impressed by Zuckerberg, their 9. He's really impressed me. He's taken some good options, and I see Whitehead has been moved to 15 because they've had a injury at fullback. But I'm sure you'll still come into the line and make the decisions as well. I like the Griquas pretty strong on the handicap here, and I really feel they can win the game here. So again, I think they should come out strong in the first half as well. So I might be onto a good thing, but I'm happy to take the full-time handicap here. And yeah, if I can get Griquas points in the mid-20s, which I think is a realistic quote, I'll take overs here. Jacob Paper is the ref, and it's a 3 o'clock kickoff in Bloom, so the conditions will be perfect. So there should be a few points in this one.
Yeah, I find that. Don't you find that? I mean, I suppose understandably so, but the bookies are quoting these Currie Cup games pretty high.
They are. They're quoting it very well. I expected them to be a bit off guard and us to get to get mid-50s and less than 60, but they are. Yeah, they're on the ball, and from the start they've been on the ball with the points. So yeah, there has been less betting opportunity, big play betting opportunities on the points than what I expected.
Yeah, I think we were certainly hoping to feast on the points there, and it hasn't quite worked out that way. Couch, anything else for you before we move on to the final game?
Brent, nothing on the try scores for me there. The only thing that with Whitehead moving to fullback, I'm a little bit worried with Tinus de Beer coming in at fly-off. He didn't impress me at Tuks, and now he's starting a Currie Cup game. So I'm a little bit concerned, and just a heads up for Hendrik. I know I climbed into that minus quite large there, and then probably like 2 hours later I saw on Oracle's old followers, the group chat there came out, and everyone was quite fond of the Cheetahs covering, and I got told that it's super pro 14 players playing against guys who don't even play Super Rugby. So it's the feeling is quite different from that side. So that has got me spooked slightly, but that's why I've rechanneled myself to the halftime cap. But obviously I'm not going to back out of my full-time one either. So again, it's all on the line for this one.
Don't let the Oracle spook you, Couch. There's a good reason why he's not on the show anymore.
You've got
hiding.
nothing.
His grand's looking for him, man.
You've got nothing.
Yeah, no,
at least it's the guys. It's the guys on his group. I just want to make sure it wasn't Oracle himself. I don't think he commented. I think it was just...
If you're looking for the Oracle for advice and you're on his group, but look, I'm not going to say anymore. No, I'm only kidding, Oracle. We miss you, buddy. Come back. Just to mention, I handicap this game. I do a quick video every Sunday on the Rugby Championship and Currie Cup where I quickly share my handicaps posted on the forum. I was minus 7.5 on this game. So I'm very much in Hendrik's camp here. I think if I can get 12.5, which I think I actually looked now, I just didn't note which bookie it was. There was 12.5 available. And I would have to say that I do like the Griquas on the plus here. But let's move on to the last game then. And Hendrik, I'll start with you. It's Western Province at home to the Lions. And I've seen handicaps ranging from sort of, I think, 12.5 thereabouts, Western Province favourite.
Yeah, Brent, I lost big on Western Province last week, so it was a bitter pill to swallow, and I didn't see the game because I was away, but from what I've heard, John looked to see a shocker. So it's good to see he's been dropped completely out of the 23. I'm glad to see Josh Thunder starting, and I've heard good things about Paul de Wet. I haven't seen enough of him, but yeah, from what I've heard of Paul de Wet at 9, and that's also a good thing. He's starting. I expect a big backlash from Western Province here. The Irons Coach Dobson would have been into them this week. We had a lot of rain, so I'm not sure where they could have trained outside a lot. But it looks like good weather on Saturday. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff as well. This Lions team looks very weak to me. I had a look at them, and the bench especially looks very, very weak. Western Province bench looks strong. Wilco Low on the bench, Sergio Peterson, who's the other wing? I help me out there. Who's the other wing on the bench for Western Province?
Edwin van der Merwe.
Edwin van der Merwe, yeah, and Jaco Kutsia on the bench as well. So Western Province got a very strong bench, and I like the team they've picked as well. So yeah, I'm very strong in Western Province. Yeah, I got minus 11.5 at the bet exchange at 9 to 10. I wish I could have got some of the. I think it was 8.5 at WSB when they opened. But yeah, I see this has been as big as 14.5 currently. Western Province. I would be very surprised if Western Province win this game by less than 20. So I like Western Province strong here. And with it being a 5 o'clock kickoff at the coast at Newlands, I'll be looking at unders on Lions points here. I know unders on Currie Cup, not always the safest play, but I would be surprised if the Lions get 20 points in this game.
Yeah, and of course, you should get quite a nice, one thing about, we were talking earlier about the bookies quoting high, we might get quite a nice, high quote on the Lions to go unders there. I tend to agree with you about those coastal games. Couch, let me go over to you. Are you in the Province camp again? I think all three of us were burnt on Province last week, but they are a different beast at home.
Brent, for someone who took an absolute whipping last weekend, I'm neck deep in this one. I'm in the whole weekend, obviously, as you guys have heard, and I cleaned up on the WSB minus 8.5 as well, so there's no turning back from that. It's all systems go from my side. It's Province all the way. I think I'm going to buy one of those Hendrik jerseys come Monday. It's going to happen. Dobson spending time indoors might have been the best thing for them. He would have had a right go at them. And my man Dylan Late's back at fullback. It's going to be brilliant. I'm looking forward to it. This is all Province. I'm expecting them to show why they're the Currie Cup favourites and why we aren't going to Kimberley for free drinks and everything on Gary there. We're gonna have to join Hendrik at Newlands there for a beer.
Excellent. Well, Catch, end off then with your best bet of the weekend for me, please.
And just lastly on the Province game.
I was going to say, give us a rugby one, but throw in if there's anything else you fancy on the weekend, then just throw that in as well on other sports. Okay,
just on Province there, I think take your pick from Jaco Kutsia or Sergio Peterson for last try. Maybe watch out for the weather. If the weather is decent, Sergio might be keen coming off the bench there. Solid, dangerous stepper. Otherwise, Jaco Kutsia, took him last week first try, and he scored the first try for his team, but not in the game, which always hurts. And he's turned into a try-scoring machine. So watch out for Jaco Kutsia. My best bet would have been Province on the lowest handicap you can get. I still think that's probably the way to go. I've seen 12.5, which obviously it's a little bit higher than I hoped. Halftime as well. Halftime will be 6.5. You can take them on the second half handicap, as Hendrik said, stronger bench, so they should pull away as well, or wait in running. I don't know, something there, but it's got to be blue and white all the way for me this weekend on the rugby. Even considering rugby championships, that's my biggest pick there. Other sports, I'm giving Valtteri Bottas a go this week in the German Grand Prix. I think it's a huge weekend for Mercedes. It's their home Grand Prix, and there's some centenary. There's the 200th Grand Prix or something like that. There's something special about it. It's big. It's Merck's home ground. Everyone will be there in support. And I think Bottas is going to use this opportunity to upstage Lewis one more time there. So I think definitely pole position for Bottas. And then if we had to do something in the cycling, bet on me to win the fantasy competition. But otherwise, apart from that, I'll probably think Egan Bernal. He's the best climber in the business. And he showed today he's going to leave everyone behind in the high altitude last two stages. The problem is you probably won't even get 2-1 on him. But if you do chuck a few there into some multiples, that and Province to win the Currie Cup, and you're going to be happy come before the start of the World Cup.
Excellent. Thanks, Sam. Well, I tell you, I don't know if the way that favourite in the Tour de France has changed. I mean, it's been a bookie's dream. Every second day, we've had a new favourite. And at the moment, you're right. But now there's then, I think he's assured around 14-10. Let's go to Hendrik. Though. Hendrik, your best bets for the weekend?
Brent, I like Western Province. Western Province is my best bet. I've got -11. I think the best is currently -12.5. I'll still take that. Anything under 2 converted tries, well, even the 14.5, you can take that as well. So under handicaps, Western Province on the minus, and in the same game, unders on Lions points. And yeah, I think there should be some points in the Pumas Bulls game as well. Before we go, I saw you posted on the forum. You replied to somebody's post about the Pacific Nations Cup. I haven't had a proper look at the betting. I've had a look at the handicaps there, and Fiji's playing Japan and Tonga's playing Samoa. Fiji, I was hoping for a lower handicap. I saw 11.5 handicap, Fiji being favourites against Japan. And I was hoping for like about 7 or 8 on Fiji, because they've picked their strongest team again. I saw Japan and Fiji's teams, and I'm expecting a good World Cup from Fiji and Japan. Actually, Japan should go well in the home country, but especially Fiji, and that first team of them, they're pretty good. And this is the kind of tournament that you have to keep an eye on going into the World Cup. You have to know what's going on with these lesser teams. So I'm not sure. It will probably not be televised over here. I'll maybe look if we can get a stream somewhere, and especially watch that Fiji versus Japan game. I think that should be a very good game.
Excellent. Well, I must say, last week I tried to watch a stream of the Maori against Fiji, and I got onto this YouTube page, and there were 150 people waiting, and we waited, and previously everyone was hitting the like button, and by the end of a thing, they figured like 120 likes and about 150 dislikes, because the stream never came on. It was very, very frustrating. But yeah, one of those things. I agree with Hendrik's advice. You've got to keep a close eye on this tournament with the World Cup coming if you want to find some value. Gents, thanks very much for joining me tonight. It's been a great talking rugby. Looking forward to lots of betting, and thanks to all of you in the live chat. Good punting, guys. Let's hope it's a good weekend. And I suppose I haven't shared my best bets. The boys have certainly got me leaning towards Province, but I do like Argentina to beat the handicap against Australia and potentially to win the match. Look out for our newsletter tomorrow. Subscribe down below here, and you can also subscribe to our videos. Thanks, everyone, and have a good evening.